What is going on, guys? What's happening? See, a couple of you guys are showing up. We got Sab, we got Crypto Cred, Andrew in the building. Today, it's still not showing up on my screen, but I think it's actually my screen now. I think it's just a little bit delayed. Today is episode number 10. It's just another day, another stream. Nothing special today. No trading session. No specific thing in TA that we're going to learn. There was a couple of guys, I forget who it was specifically, but they wanted me to go over just how I have my TradingView set up and different settings I have for RSIs or fibs or colors and stuff, just to make it look the same. So I'm happy to go over that if you guys want that and if that helps out. But other than that, it's just the normal schedule. We're going to be going over, what do we have today? Going to be going over Bitcoin and what I believe is not enough kind of importance, or not a real underestimation, in my opinion, of the amount of FUD that could take place. I want to go over that, different scenarios and how that could play out. We're also going to look at a few alts like we do every single stream. We're going to be looking at Ethereum Classic, Z, Coin, and then we'll also look at Bcash and just where that is and kind of update a few of those trades. Real quick before I go on, if you are in Zcash, it did just hit the first target that I had set. So if any of you guys are watching the stream and you're in that trade and you want to take profits, feel free to flip over and take some profits. What else? And then at the very end, I'm going to give a couple more updates. If this is your first stream, welcome. We had about 3 or 4 guys join the group today. We're almost full, which is just really cool for me. And it seems like everyone is enjoying it so far. So if you're just getting in, I'm going to keep, now that it's full, I don't really have to go over this too many more times, but I will still move pretty slow today. My only advice, if this is your first stream and I'm moving a little bit faster, you're not understanding where I'm kind of pulling some of this stuff from, go back in the video library, check out the first video, check out the first couple, and you'll get an understanding of kind of my whole outlook on portfolio strategy and coins, my whole outlook with really everything. So this is kind of the foundation of what I use. But welcome to all the new guys. Feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to reach out to other guys in the group. There's a couple guys that are already stepping up and kind of specializing in some stuff. I know Cred is kind of a cloud master already. There's a few other guys. Dan is a pretty experienced FX trader. There's a lot of guys in the group. I know I'm forgetting some that have different skill sets. So, get to know the guys in the group. I'm a student just like you guys. Feel free to ask questions to anyone. So I just wanted to throw that out there too. So looking at Bitcoin, this is progressing really quick. I haven't been checking on it as often as I normally check, throughout the week, just because today is the one day that I like to chill. But I started the day, and I think I ended last night posting a few things. I'm going to pull up the Discord, but I was posting a few charts in the Bitcoin trend analysis, and I was also trading on BitMEX and getting really tired. I was riding a short down from up here in the 6,600 or 6,700 range. I got really tired last night, and it's just one of those things sometimes in the markets where luck. I think there's an element of chance and luck in everything you do. You can prepare yourself and do all the technical analysis and do all the fundamental analysis and understand everything that's going on. But sometimes you just get a little bit lucky. I was really tired last night, and instead of waiting for it to reach the target, I was going to get pretty aggressive with it. I think I had a target somewhere at 54.80. It looks like it touched 5400. I just closed my short. And I probably left some profits on the table, but I also didn't wake up to a loss after this massive bounce. So we had a bounce last night. I'm going to go over to my chart now that looks a little bit noisy. But we had a bounce last night. Let me get rid of some of these here. Had a bounce last night right on this 50% fib line. This is an extension. Or no, that's not a 50%. But this is a fib extension. This is one of the levels that I said was pretty important. If we passed here, we were definitely going to head down to I had 5K to 4,900, which a lot of people are kind of cluing in that that's the next move if you are bearish. But we had that really big bounce today, And it was interesting when I woke up this morning and I'm checking Twitter. I like to check Twitter to get sentiment, and I'm looking at the Bitcoin charts. It seemed like everyone thought we were in the clear after this bounce. A lot of people were already posting that they were going to go long. A lot of people were kind of posting that Bcash, took its shot and it failed, and it was just another coin that tried to scam and all this. And the selling pressure remained. I mean, Bitcoin forced down again. We just broke through another fib level right here at 58.20, and we didn't get back to this level, so we didn't make a new low, but the selling pressure remains. Bcash is still kind of floating up where, above it's one of its previous all-time highs at 0.2. So the market, I believe there's still an underestimation of the amount of FUD. Bitcoin block times are slowing down significantly. The hash rate is still really slow. I went on Gemini today. I was going to sell some Bitcoin or just move some Bitcoin around. A lot of exchanges still aren't taking Bitcoin deposits or withdrawals. That doesn't bother or worry me too much, or a lot of people in the space. But my thought process is, imagine if you have an account 10 times the size of your account. Imagine if you're one of these, just imagine how unsettling that would be if all of a sudden it gets really, it's already taking 12 or 16 hours to send some Bitcoin transactions. And then the fact that some exchanges aren't even letting you deposit and withdraw, this can kind of be a vicious kind of cycle. And like I said yesterday, I'm starting to get a lot of DMs, and this didn't happen this frequently, even in the past kind of correction cycle, getting a lot of messages on Twitter and other platforms of people pretty concerned and saying, should I sell my Bitcoin and stuff like that? Obviously, they're probably newer investors, or just kind of overreacting and stuff like that. But there's definitely some fear in the markets, and I think if we start passing levels like this, people are going to start to get really concerned. So I thought that was interesting how Twitter and the whole retail crowd, it seemed like, kind of thought we were in the clear, and then everyone's kind of quieted down again as we trickled down. So I posted in the Bitcoin trend analysis, I think it was my last post this morning. I said, to clarify my stance on Bitcoin, I am still neutral at best. I want to be optimistic and see a reversal, but I just don't see it yet. That reason being, I just think there's a level of FUD that people still aren't taking seriously. So I wanted to touch on that. To take one step back, because I do realize that there's probably a couple new guys, and I just want to go over it one more time. This massive channel starting back here in 2017 all the way to where we are now is how I determine my portfolio allocation. It's how I determine my timing into alts. It's how I determine my bullishness, bearishness on the entire coin, kind of coin universe. Bitcoin is the guide, since it kind of determines how every other coin in the space does. So I use this as a huge guide. As we started the group, we were up here, and it was looking like a good time based on historical events. Last time we touched the top of the channel, or this time we touched the top of the channel, it was a good time to take some profits in Bitcoin and move into alts. Just a week or two into the group now, and we're already in the middle of the channel. So we're already in kind of a far different area than we are when we started. So now it requires a whole new thought process on what we're doing with our coins. What I'm doing, my process, how much risk I'm open to taking, whether I'm going to start deploying fiat and stuff like that. These are new considerations that we need to take into account, and stuff that I'll be going over as this kind of correction and potential reversal. I don't believe it yet. I'm still neutral at best. Plays out. So that's something to keep in mind. Like I said, go over those first videos if you're not following this channel at all. But I bet most of you are up to speed on that. Did I have anything else in Bitcoin? Oh, one thing I did kind of want to touch on. I had a post, and I believe I talked in the group about this, about trading with the trend. We're seeing two extremes kind of go on Twitter and in the group. And from people I follow, and they're battling on Twitter, and they're battling in these Telegram rooms. And I don't even think they really understand why they're battling or why certain traders are disagreeing. So we're seeing people today even that, they're calling out their longs. I want to go long at 6K. I'm putting my bids right here, and they're trying to catch a long in a falling market. So there's two, if you're looking at active strategies from a huge macro perspective, there is contrarian or value. So you're trying to sell when things are expensive or buy when things are cheap. You're trying to do the opposite of what's actually happening. As price is going down, you're trying to buy. That's a contrarian timing strategy. Or there's a trend following timing strategy. So as things drop, you're looking to sell. As things are going up, you're looking to buy. So that's a trend following or momentum. So there's contrarian, and then there's trend following. What we're seeing is, as we're starting to move down, people, whether they realize they're in one camp or the other, they're really kind of starting to stand out. And it's almost a tribalistic thing, just like you see in certain coins. So I'm seeing a few traders really throw out there, I'm putting a long here. Why would you be selling here? Just like when they're up here, why would you be selling here? I'm going so. My kind of process, my thoughts on it, when we're at extremes, so if we're right along the top of the channel or at the very end of an extended bull run, at the top of the channel I like to be contrarian, or at the bottom of the channel I like to be contrarian. I think that makes sense from a risk reward standpoint. And then when we're anywhere else, when we're in the middle of this channel, or if we're rising in the middle of this channel, I prefer to be trend following. Meaning, down here, if we're somewhere in the middle, we're trending up, I'm looking to enter long trades on Bitcoin. I'm looking to buy dips. I'm not looking for short plays throughout this. As we hit the top of the channel, then maybe I'll start considering short plays or taking profits or trying to kind of trade against the trend. And same thing, once we get way down here, that's when I start to look to enter buys. If we get in this 4,900 or 5K range, then I start looking to play reversals because the risk reward makes sense. Today I entertained the idea this morning, but the risk reward, I looked at it for an hour and I thought, why would I do that? Maybe I'm right, and you get the glory of being right and you make some money. But if you do this 10 times, and if you do this through 10 different market cycles, what's going to happen is this isn't going to turn out well. You're entering a trade that has 50% potential gain, 50% potential loss. Arbitrary numbers, these might be 10 and 15%, but it's about equal risk reward. This isn't asymmetric at all. It's much closer to 50-50. It's much closer to neutral. That's not the type of setups I look for. I would rather, when I'm seeing these big red candles, like I was today, I'm looking for short entries on these bounces up, and I'm just riding the trend down. So that's kind of one thing I wanted to touch on. One thing, I'm seeing two different factions fight on Twitter and in certain Telegram rooms, and I think it's funny that both strategies can work, both strategies can survive, but just kind of understand. And you definitely don't need to do what I'm doing. It's not advice to do what I'm doing. I'm sharing what I'm doing so that I hope you can think about what your strategy is. And if someone's telling you to do the opposite, it's probably because they're trying to implement the other strategy, or maybe they don't even know they're trying to implement the other strategy. But something to think about. If you're a contrarian trader, if you're a trend following trader, and we can discuss more on that, and I can kind of break both those down one Saturday specifically if we want to do that. So that's all I have for Bitcoin today. That already took up 15 minutes. I do want to squeeze in some alts. Ethereum Classic was one, and the retest was good. So we entered originally, don't mind my scrolling, we entered originally down here on this breakout. It came up, I think yesterday, the past 2 days in the group, we've been looking at other entries, and I was looking at them in this second entry zone. After Bitcoin's little overnight kind of pop, a lot of alts retraced. Ethereum Classic retraced, and it's kind of retesting this broken out, this longer term resistance. So what we usually look for in breakouts we look for a breakout of the actual resistance. Once it happens, you want price to come back down and retest, and if it uses it as support, that's a pretty bullish sign or a bullish indicator. It's never going to confirm or guarantee that price doesn't fall through, but it's definitely a good sign, something nice to see. And I also saw Barry Silbert, which is one of the kind of fundamental reasons we were going to be buying into this coin. Give me 1 second, I'm pulling up his Twitter. I saw him kind of shilling or posting some new information that you guys might find interesting. So it looks like he said investing in Ethereum Classic via your stock brokerage account is now one step closer. This was kind of the case for Zcash and for Ethereum Classic, one of the bigger kind of narratives or reasons I wanted to get into these trades, not only because they're technically appealing, but because they have this going on in the background. And this is super attractive. Added liquidity into any of these coins is in the past or recently has led to sharp increases in price. From a very basic kind of standpoint or a very basic, big picture reason why, it's just easier to buy them. If they're on more exchanges, if they're open to different type of investment accounts, Grayscale Investment, they're going to be offering it to stock brokerages. Theirs is more of a mutual fund type setup. So that's massive. I mean, if Ethereum Classic's on there as opposed to another coin, it's, I kind of relate it to something being put on Coinbase. It's like, what can the most, the least technical or the least experienced cryptocurrency buyer buy? And it's going to be, if it's on your stock brokerage account, this could be one of the first cryptos you buy. So I think that's huge for Ethereum Classic, and the chart doesn't look too bad either. Where we are in the Bitcoin cycle, like I said, I'm being a little bit more defensive in my alts. I've already taken some profits in some. Bcash is one, Zcash is one that we're gonna touch on. But I still like this setup actually. I mean, the target is up here at the 400,000 sat range. I still like the setup. I like the narrative more than I like the setup, but I think this is still attractive too. So something to consider, entering along this old resistance, now testing as support. This is going to be the target. And I think as Barry and his team kind of continues to push this out, we're going to see good things there. By the way, that's for all the new viewers. I don't want to have to throw this disclaimer out there anymore, but I got to do it one time. Nothing I'm saying is financial advice. Please don't take it as such. This is for illustrative, educational purposes. I'm sharing with you guys my trade ideas or my trade setups, just like everyone else discusses the trade setups in discussion. I'm just sharing mine as well. Hopefully, you learn a thing or two. Maybe you take them and make some money. That's all up to you. I'm just sharing my ideas. Zcash is the other one. Just hit the target. Really nice today. This one's really nice to see. Reason being, I touched on this in the video the other day, and it was the point I was kind of trying to make, or I remember someone was asking about what I thought about buying in here, what I thought about selling in here, locking in profits. I did talk about possibly moving up your stop and locking in profits, but I kind of touched on a bigger concept, which I always try to do with my trades, and that's I try to determine my exits or my target and my stop at the exact same time I enter the trade, if not before. So at the time I buy this coin, when I originally gave this setup and I put it in the alt trade ideas channel, I gave this target. I think we were down here. The second entry is up here. I had this target, this kind of fib line, or this horizontal white dash line. It's right up here at 0.045. And we are getting a little bit of congestion here, and there's always that moment in a trade. I think ARK is kind of going through it right now as well. When you're looking at a coin, it's really tough if you start to see it hesitating. You're scared. You might want to move the money. People get antsy, so I try, and I'm no different. I get antsy as well just looking at a coin. So if I determine the exits or the entries or the stops, pardon me, before I enter the trade and I have that all picked out, I try to not touch the trade at all. And I just be patient. And what's great in this space is you don't even need to be patient for too long. I think this trade was open for 3 days, maybe even less. So this one hit the target right up here. It's retracing slightly. This is another one that Silbert and his team are trying to push. I'm not sure if it's part of the grayscale investment thing, if it's going to be available to stock brokerages, but I'm massively bullish on privacy coins. This is one of the bigger privacy coins. Glad to see it hit its target. This is where I not recommended, but this is where I would be taking profits, if that makes sense. And yeah, from a bigger picture, I mean, if alts still have room to run, if Bitcoin hangs in this range, and lets alts play a little bit more upside, but you know, I'd kind of have to dissect and look at a new trade setup here. Not prepared to do that this afternoon, but I did want to touch on it, hit the target, make you all aware of that. Bcash is the last alt I wanted to look at, just because it's still, I mean, it's still the focal point of the space. Everyone's still talking about it. What I'm finding interesting is on Twitter, the sentiment seems to be that a lot of people got burned on it yesterday. It seems like a lot of people were buying way up here. I heard that a couple people got filled at 0.5. I'm not even sure how that's possible. I don't see that on the Bittrex feed, but maybe on different exchanges, which is really tough. Our original entry was down here, not moon launch entry. And then there was a few entries in this mid-range as well. I took out a lot of these horizontal lines. The chart was a bit messy. It reached this target. This was 2x right here, where I like taking profits. When it actually crossed up here, I still wanted to hold as of yesterday. And then there's also FUD circulating around this coin. I think rightfully so. I think it's a little bit shady what the team is doing here. The community definitely doesn't like it, so I had stops down here, stopped out at 0.2, which I am perfectly okay getting stopped out or taking profits on a 2x. I don't feel bad about that at all. And what's interesting is it's actually hanging above this 0.2 range. So this matches up perfectly with Bitcoin in that overnight, and when I woke up, when I was talking about it at the beginning of the video, people thought we were in the clear and that this pump was done, this was going to be a massive crash. What actually happened is it found support, and it's been hanging around all day. It's still receiving fairly good volume. Whether that's real volume or wash trading, you know, no one knows. It's all kind of speculation. But it's hanging around at 0.23. I think it still has a lot of the hash power. I need to learn more about the kind of the hard fork that's coming up, but this is still an interesting dynamic, an interesting relationship that it has with Bitcoin, the inverse relationship. So I'm going to continue to cover this a lot, whether or not we're trading it. I think it's going to give us some really good insights into how the Bitcoin market's going to react, into how the overall sentiment in the crypto market is, whether or not there's FUD. This right here is the biggest driver of FUD, hands down. People are, you know, I'm not worried by it, like I said, but people with much bigger accounts than me, it's an unsettling fact that it's hard to send your Bitcoin right now. It's hard to sell your Bitcoin right now. That's not good. So we're gonna keep an eye on this one. I don't like a trade anywhere up in this range. I think it's, you know, that's not the type of trader I am. I know a couple guys are playing these swings back and forth. I think it's risky up here. Those are the alts I wanted to cover. We did the Bitcoin, went over a little bit of strategy for everyone who's new. One other thing, who was it in the group that wanted me to go over, let's see here. A little bit behind in the messages today, guys. I actually took some time off just to watch some football. It was a great Sunday. I hope everyone else is having a good Sunday too. I'm not seeing it right now. If you're watching, can you comment real quick what you wanted me to touch on kind of with my TradingView setup? I'm happy to go over whatever. Or if anyone in the group here kind of has a question on how I'm using TradingView.com or something that you see on my screen that you don't see on yours. Happy to help with all that. I thought it was in the general discussion, but I'm not seeing it. Oh, it looks like it was Matthias. Quick vid showing how you set up and use TradingView. Is there such a thing as a quick vid? Point me in the right direction. What I'll actually do, Matthias, I'm just going to do a separate video. So it's just a video on my TradingView setup. I think that probably makes more sense and it'll be easier for you guys to reference as opposed to slapping it at the end of this video. I think that's probably the best way to do it. Other than that, guys, I just had a couple really quick updates for the group that I wanted to go over. Thanks for giving me some time off today. I really appreciate it. I know there were still a couple questions in the group that I'm going to try to answer tonight. I'm still kind of just relaxing, and then we'll hit it hard tomorrow morning. Welcome to all the guys who just joined today. I think there was like 4 or 5 of you guys, which was really cool to see. Like I said at the very beginning of the video, get to know people, reach out to me, click around until you're comfortable. You'll get the hang of it after a day or two. Third thing, Cred had a really cool idea about using the trading floor voice channel, which we just haven't even used yet. I do want to use that feature. So, you know, maybe we do a trading floor Tuesday type thing, or maybe we do a certain time of the day that I'll try to hop in there, or I'll hop in there once or twice throughout the day. And just kind of, we can go through charts, we can go through trades or anything like that. I think that's cool to get to know the community, and you can also get your questions answered. So I'm going to try to post a schedule for that, get that out tomorrow morning. I think that's a really good idea, Cred. Thank you for bringing that up. What else? That's it, guys. That's really all I had today. In case anyone was wondering, my fantasy football team finally got a win. It's somehow inversely related to the price of Bitcoin. So that's going to be an interesting relationship to watch as well going forward. But in all seriousness, thanks for tuning in. We had William, Cred, Rob, Casper, Sab, Andrew. Really cool to see all you guys here. I might hop in the Discord a little bit later tonight, but I'm still kind of still chilling, and then we'll hit it hard and hopefully make some more Bitcoin this week. Also, throw some suggestions at me in the general discussion of anything that you want to go over for the TA class or for the trading session class on Wednesday and Saturday. I am taking suggestions for that, so fire away. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and I will see you tomorrow morning bright and early. Have a good rest of the day, good rest of the evening for all you guys over there in Europe. See you tomorrow.